Here we go. Let's talk about these. For number one, I think I did number one yesterday. So what I'm going to do with number one instead is I'm going to take that and I'm going to translate that to matrix form, and then we're also going to change it to an augmented matrix. Okay. So let's do that. Matter of fact, let's use some different ink. Let's use purple for that. Okay. So matrix form. I'm going to write this sort of out of order just so you can understand what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got an X and a Y. I got two variables. So I'm going to give myself a little matrix or whatever, um, a matrix that is just the variables. And then I'm going to set equal to, now I'm going to do a matrix with the answers, 7 and negative 27. Now I'm going to go over here and do a matrix with the coefficients of these things. So not the X and the Y, but the coefficients, the constants. So I should have four spots. I got 1, 1, -5, and -1. And that's matrix form. Okay. Now I'm going to do augmented matrix form. So augmented matrix form, I don't have the variables and I don't have the equal sign, but I have the same stuff. I'm going to have 1 and 1, -5 and -1. I'm going to have a nice little line right here that's on the inside, and then I'm going to put the answers on the other side. That's augmented matrix. See, that has no letters in it. All right. So you're going to be given something like this. You need to do that and that. All right, next. Let's actually do number two. But before we do number two, let me find a spot on this thing and write the little formula for doing the what you call it, the inverse matrix. Let's just go in brown. So it's 1 over AD minus BC if we're given A, B, C, and D, right? Times D over here, negative C here, negative B here, and A there. So that's the inverse that I use. So we're going to use that to solve this thing. So now let's get some blue going on and let's work on it. So first, let's write this in matrix form. So I have -5, -4, 2, -6. Then I'm going to have X and Y equals 16 and -10. Any questions so far? All right, so what I'm doing is I'm treating this just like a two-step equation. All right. I don't want to confuse you, so I'm not going to write it up there. But there are my variables right here. So I want to isolate my variables. So I need to get rid of this matrix. So I'm going to get rid of this matrix by multiplying by the inverse on both sides. Now, the thing is, because I know what happens when you multiply the inverse on the left side, I'm not going to actually do it. This is going to go away. So I'm going to be left on this side with X and Y equals. And now I'm going to put my inverse matrix right here. So that's 1 AD minus BC. So AD. So that's -5 times a -6 minus, let's put some parentheses, and then -4 times 2. So that's the first part. Now I have to switch this thing up. This is my original matrix right here. In fact, let me make the inverse matrix in light blue. So D is -6. So I'll put -6 right there. Negative B. Well, B is 2. So I'm going to make that -2 because it's negative B. Next, I have negative C. C is -4. So negative just means to change the sign. So I'm going from -4 to +4. And then finally, I need A right there. A is -5. All right. And then finally, excuse me, is I'm putting the matrix that's right here, 16 and negative 10. So I took the inverse of this and I put it right here to multiply times this. Because remember, order matters with multiplication with matrices. Okay? So real quick, let's figure this out. I've got, what is that? Positive 30 minus, what is that, a negative 8? Minus a negative 8. So that means that's going to be positive. That's 1 over 30 plus 8. Does everybody follow me there? So you got to watch your signs. It was negative 5 times a negative 6. That's a positive 30. Minus, because that's what the formula says. A times D minus. And then I look at B times C. That's a negative 4 times 2. I mean, I guess technically it's 2 times negative 4. But anyway, that's going to be a negative 8, but I'm subtracting a negative 8. So that's going to be 1 over 30 plus 8. Now, this is a 2 by 2. This is a 2 by 1. So these two match up. And I'm going to have a result of a 2 by 1. So I'm going to have negative 6 times 16 plus negative 2 times a negative 10. This times this plus this times this. That's my first element. And now I'm going to go to the next row. I'm going to have 4 times 16 plus negative 5 times a negative 10. And so now I just start simplifying. I've got 1 over 38 outside. Right here, I've got negative 6 times 16. That's what, a negative 96? And then I've got negative 2 and a negative 10. So that's going to be plus 20, a positive 20. Next, I've got 4 times 16. What's 4 times 16? 64. Excellent, sir. So then plus 5, negative 5 times a negative 10. Negative 5 times a negative 10 is positive 50. All right. So now I got 1 over 38, negative negative 96 plus positive 20. That's going to be a negative 76. And then 64 plus 50 is what, 114? Okay, so that's where I am. The next thing I'm going to do is multiply 1 over 38 times a negative 76. Another way to think about it is I'm going to take negative 76 and divide it by 38. That's negative 2. That's negative 2. So everybody follow me, or am I talking to myself? All right. So I'm just going to move over to the side a little bit. So the top is going to be negative 2. So now I'm going to do the same thing. 114 times 1 over 38, or 114 divided by 38. What is that, 3? Yep. 3 times 38 is 114. And there we go. My answer. If you wrote it like this, I wouldn't mark you wrong, because I'm looking for X and Y. There's X, there's Y. Either one of those is acceptable. Yes, ma'am. Augmented, yes. I'm gonna have one solving. Yep. I'm gonna have a couple of changing forms, but only one solving. It's a quiz. I'm not gonna ask you to solve a whole bunch of stuff. You solve one problem. Okay. So let's do number 4. Real quick. Does anybody got any questions on number 2? All right. So let's do number 4 real quick, and then I'll change some matrices from system of equations to matrix form or augmented matrix form, and then we'll go from there. So we just did this, but let's do it again. So I'm going to have negative 1, 6, negative 5, and 4 times x and y equals 14, and -8. Over here, just because we're not doing this, well, you know what? I take that back. I don't need to do that. There it is right there. There's my inverse formula. That's why I want you to have notes because I'm not expecting you to remember that. I got it written like 2 or 3 times. I got it like a little sticky note on my desk because I don't remember that. So I'm not going to ask you to remember that. That's why I want you to be able to use notes. But you need to be able to do the process. Knowing that formula is only part of it. Being able to implement it is the other. So anyway, I got this, right? So I'm going to apply the inverse matrix to both sides. So that's going to take care of this matrix. So now I just got x and y equals. And so now I need to put the inverse matrix right here. So that's going to be 1 over -1 times 4. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit. So -1 times 4 is -4 minus, and I've got -5 times 6. That's going to be a -30. All right, and now I need to change this to that. So D and A need to switch positions. So D is 4, so D goes there. A is -1, -1 goes there. And then I change the signs on B and C. B is going to become negative because it started off positive, and C is going to become positive because it started off negative. And then I put the last little matrix right there, 8. Okay, is everybody straight right here? All right, so next, this is going to be 1 over, what is that, -4 plus 30. -4 plus 30. And then now I'm going to do this multiplication. You need to know how to multiply matrices. So first row times the first column. So 4 times 14 plus -6 times a -8. Then I'm going to have 5 times 14 plus -1 times a -8. So now let's do some simplifying. So I've got -4 plus a +30. That's going to be positive 26. So 1 over 26. And then here, I've got 4 times 14. That's what, 56? And then plus -6 times -8. What's -6 times -8? It's positive 48. Now I got 5 times 14. Oh, excuse me. 5 times 14 is what, 70? Plus, and then -1 times the -8 is positive 8. Any questions so far? Okay. So then let's finish this up. I got 1 over 26. 56 plus 48 is 104. And then 70 plus 8 is 78. So now, excuse me. I got 1 over 26 times 104. So that's 104 divided by 26. And what's that? 4, I think. 4 times 26 is 104. So that's going to be 4. And then 78 divided by 26 is what? 3. So just so we're clear, this is x, y equals 4, 3, which you could also write 4 and 3. Either one of those is acceptable. Has anybody got any questions on that? No question? Question on anybody? Question on? Okay. All right, real quick. So let's knock this out. I'm going to write the augmented matrix form for the system and write a system of linear equations for the augmented form. Well, let's do that first. I've got two rows. So that means two variables. I'm dealing with X and Y. Now, in all honesty, you can pick whatever letters you want, frankly. In all honesty, it doesn't have to be X and Y. So if you did that trying to be funny, it's not going to hurt my feelings. As long as you're consistent. Okay? So writing this as a system, I could say, whoop, need some mark. Let's see, K and D. So 3D plus 4K equals 1. Negative 3D plus 2K equals 23. Same difference. It doesn't have to be X and Y. It just needs to be two consistent letters that represent my variables. And when I say consistent, I mean, the D's are first and then the K's are second. And then that works the same with if I got 3 rows, I just need to have 3 letters, right? Just to keep things simple, though, I'm gonna make it A, B, and C. I mean, X, Y, and Z. So 3X minus Y plus Z equals 8. There's 0 there, so that means there's no X. But there is a Y, so negative Y plus 2Z equals negative 10. And then 2X, or negative 2X, plus 2Y plus 2Z equals negative 8. That's my system right there. That's it. Don't make it harder than it is. That's the X row, that's the Y row, that's the Z row. Boom. That's it. What aren't you getting? What? Because I was saying that it doesn't matter. You don't have to use X, Y, and Z. You can use any 2 letters you want. All right. And so I just was like, you know what? Danielle and Kamaria. And so that threw that up there. And so there you go. Actually, yeah, dang it, there's nobody else in here. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, that's that. You're right. I should have did Marcus. Marcus and Demetrius. I should have. Okay, so anyway, now I'm gonna go up here and then we're gonna call it. I'm gonna change a system of linear equations to the shoot. Um the matrix form and then augmented matrix, and then we'll call it. So this first one, because it's got X, Y's, and Z's in there, I don't get to choose this. I got to use X, Y, and Z because that's in the equation, all right? So as a matrix, I'm going to have 1, 3, negative 2, negative 2, negative 5, 3, and then 4, 0, negative 1. Then I'm going to have a matrix that's X, Y, and Z. Then I'm going to have equals, and I'm going to have my last matrix, negative 11, 17, and 1. That's matrix form. So now I'm going to do augmented matrix form. Augmented does not have any letters, and it doesn't have an equal sign. So that's going to be negative 2, negative 4, negative 5, right? And then it's going to be negative 1, oh, whoa, 0, sorry, 0, and then 4. And then this one's going to be negative 3, negative 5, 1. And then I'm going to put a line right here to sort of be my equal sign and say 11, negative 25, and negative 25. And that's my augmented matrix. All right. So I want to make sure you understand that if I give you a matrix and I say make it a system, you get to choose the letters as long as you're consistent. You know, the first row is one letter, the second row is the other letter. Boom, you're done. Okay. But if I give you a system of equations and I say put it in matrix form, then you need to use the letters that I gave or they gave you. All right. So I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna post it like right now. This is just a quick review. Hope that was